It's showtime, folks. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. He is Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. What's up, JoJo? A little windy, little rainy.
Yeah, are we still under a code red?
No, we are not.
Okay.
Every time. Sure. So yesterday I went over to Fox 17 to do some things, and I always like when they have the studio lit up in red, and I'll be like, no one panic. We're in a code red. Did you bring your helmet?
It's just, I get it because it's consultants. I get it, but it's
buzzwords, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all doing it. I mean, you got code. What is it? Forewarn, weather alert, and
sometimes look. I understand it. I worked in that business for many years. Anytime severe weather, they break in and people call in and moan. I was like, shut up, quit calling. A quick fun story. When I was at Channel 2, we interrupted a soccer match. It was tornadoes coming in. And this guy called in. I'm going to come down there. And So we have caller ID. So it says, your phone number is 731-525. He's like, yeah. I said, hey, I'm going to call you back when this is done. Let's talk this out. Maybe meet. He's like, look, I'm sorry. I get, I was like, exactly. Shut your mouth. Stay safe. Don't call back. And that was it.
You kind of went rock there for a minute. Like, know your role and shut your mouth.
I mean, come on. There's a tornado coming. And he's calling and complaining about missing part of a soccer game.
Yeah. And can I address that part for a second? So what year was this?
2010.
We cared about soccer then?
It was on Channel 2 that day.
Was it like the World Cup?
I don't remember. Something.
It might have been the World Cup.
You said 2010.
No. It was April of 2010. I'll never forget because it was right before the floods.
International. It would be like the CONCACAF Champions Cup or whatever.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, that's good enough.
International stuff like U.S. versus Mexico.
Saturday at 1:00 in April.
Yeah.
So there's not much on. The guy was calling complaining.
Was that the same? Would that have been the same time? I think it was. The Preds were in the playoffs against Chicago, and it was on Channel 4, and they kept having to.
That's the flood.
Oh, okay, so that was a few weeks.
This was a few weeks before that.
Yeah,
severe weather
okay.
coming through.
Yeah.
The flood in 2010, that was something else because Channel 4 put the game on Telemundo and put the severe weather on the big thing, and it was just. And the playoff game was on NBC, and they had to put in the quad box at the bottom. And somebody from the Nashville Predators called Channel 4 and said, we're revoking all your credentials. That person was quickly shut up.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you during the break who that was.
I think I know who it was.
And it was just like, it's severe weather. It's tornadoes, right? Stop doing this.
You have to do it.
All right. Feel better, man.
Good. I'm glad.
So somebody told me the Vandy basketball game tipped off at 9:38. Is that accurate? I can't find it anywhere. If you're out there and went to the game last night, please let me know because
it was on. I mean, look, I
need to know.
So I was watching something else that probably a lot of people were watching last night that was on most of the channels.
Yep.
And then I flipped over. Yeah, the Preds game. That was it. And then I flipped over and watched some of the Vandy game and I fell asleep. And
so what time
was probably like 10:15.
Okay.
And they were in the second half.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Then they started at 9:00 then. All right.
Yeah, something like that.
But several reached out and said, the game didn't start till after 9:30. I was like, all right, I guess with all this that's going on. Okay. And they lost, so which sucks.
Yeah, they did, but that's okay. Who's our guest at 10:15 today?
We had the very funny Keith Alberstadt is coming to Zennies this weekend. I'm telling you, this guy is absolutely hilarious. He'll join us at 10:15. He's at Zennies. He's a Vanderbilt graduate. He used to be the Vanderbilt football sideline reporter.
Yeah. Didn't we had him on
a long time ago
for something with Vandy?
And he is, I'm telling you, don't walk, run to Zanies this weekend and see him. It's clean comedy. He's funny. He's going to join us at 10:15. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean we're kind of loaded today. Sometimes it happens this way where.
Are we a Greg Pogue loaded or loaded in a different way? We got to put a disclaimer up for that.
No, but we do have, quite a few guests packed in a 2-hour show, which we usually don't do. But
right.
John McClain at 9:30, Keith Alberstadt at 10:15, Brady Shea is going to call in at 10:30, and then MTSU Athletics Director Chris Massaro at 10:40 some news came out with him yesterday that he will join the college football playoff selection committee. So congratulations to him. That'll be really cool.
That's awesome. We've kind of heard the whispers for a while, you and I have, and then they came out yesterday. That's great. I personally would not want to be on that committee. But Chris is smart. He knows the game. He knows everything that goes with that. I don't think you can find a better person to put on that committee than Chris Massaro.
No, so, I agree. And I'll be, they kind of told me, like there's certain things he can't talk about with it. And I get that, but it'll be cool to kind of get that perspective and talk a little Blue Raiders with him as well.
Would you want to be on that committee? Be honest.
I'd probably do it for a year. I mean, I think it's 3-year term, but yeah, I mean, I'd be more out of curiosity than anything. But I'm sure it would be like stress.
I don't know how you could win. You remember who was on the committee to start off and he quit?
Was that Archibald Manning?
Yep. He's like,
there was somebody else too.
Was it Condoleezza Rice on that committee?
She was on it, yeah.
But Manning quit. Somebody got to Archie Manning and said, "Hey, this isn't good for your family and legacy." I'm telling you, it was all somebody, because that family is like tries to be above everything else, and that they avoid controversy, which is smart. And so Archie got off that committee. I don't blame him, and I don't remember what the reasoning was at the time, but we know why. Because just you get a lot of grief, man. You do, and they try to avoid that. And I understand it, but I would not want to be on that committee at all.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think I'd be curious about it, just for, bleep and giggles.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Well, you and Kevin Malone and Phyllis were on the party planning committee here at Cromwell Media, and that didn't go well either.
No, it didn't, but it's okay.
Right. And Dr. Crane took your spot.
Did I?
Yeah.
I guess I did.
Phyllis was not fun on the planning committee, party planning committee.
She kept wanting to add balloons to everything.
Everything. And it's not in the budget. I mean, there is a budget you got to work with, and they didn't work in the budget.
Rubber's expensive.
By the way, we've been fed today, and that's always good. I know you were running a little behind, but you're going to go grab a biscuit here in a second.
Who's?
But Maple Street Biscuit Company brought us some breakfast, and the biscuits I've tried, they're fantastic. Check them out on 8th Avenue. And they're also in Brentwood and Murfreesboro. So thanks to Maple Street Biscuit Company for feeding us this morning. Because, we like to eat.
Brett, we do like to eat. Faux show. We do, man.
Yeah. Faux show. For sure.
Oh, man. No, you say it correctly. I just do the Michael Scott when they would do that to him on The Office. They're like, for sure. He's like, faux. Because, he was trapped in something with his words and couldn't get out. And I was like, faux show.
As you said that, I had it ready to play on the computer. It was hilarious. It was simultaneous.
Oh, you have it?
I do. I do.
So we have you doing faux show, and we have what's Rex Rhodes' new thing now that he did. I even put it on a rejoiner, and I can't remember what it was now, but it was something silly that he said.
The Ghost Runner
measuring cheek size.
No, I didn't that.
I like the Ghost Runner on second makes me laugh, and I don't know why, and that drives me crazy. Every time I hear that in the open, I laugh.
Tally ho, that's what it is. Tally ho. So by the way, we'll get to some things that PK said today. By the way.
Oh, okay, yeah,
we have that coming up, but he is pretty much adamant that the Titans are not in on Sam Darnold. So I can't wait for next week when the Titans are introducing Sam Darnold and we get to.
I'm with them. I don't think I don't think it's a good fit. I really don't.
Let me ask you something. Do you honestly, if I put you on a lie detector test and asked you if you thought a good fit existed for the Tennessee Titans right now, could you truthfully say yes?
Aaron Rodgers.
You think 100% he's truthfully a good fit?
100%. Because he's got the front office behind him. He knows all those guys.
He's got one guy from the front office behind
There's
him.
several from the Packers that are on that front office.
Okay, I guess McKenzie, Reggie McKenzie was one, but I mean Brinker's the big one.
The big one.
Yeah, but how do you know that they actually liked him?
Because they won games there in Green Bay.
Right, but he was such a diva and a pain in the ass that maybe they're like, I don't want that here.
Newsflash, they're all divas. They're
right,
all
but they're all there's different levels of it.
He proved that he won a Super Bowl. in
He
2010. I mean,
mean-
I just think it's a good fit to come in here. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Bring
so-
me the circus.
So let me ask you. All right, let's just play devil's advocate. You go to Rogers. And Rogers is like, "Yep, I got a spot in Nashville. I like Nashville. I'd like to end my career in Nashville. Let's do it." Okay, cool. But I need you to go sign Devontae. He's willing to do it pretty cheap. Okay, I could probably get behind that. Calvin Ridley, Devontae Adams. You draft a receiver. Okay, I can sign up for that. I'm cool with it. Can you trade for who's the other receiver? That's with the Jets right now. Lazard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you trade for him?
I'm not giving you everything.
Right.
I'll give you a little stuff. I'm not giving you everything.
I mean, my counter to that would be like, Aaron, we got to fix your O-line. I got to get you an O-line before I do that. But if you end up signing Rodgers and Devontae Adams for 2 years, I'm not going to hate it. I
I'm
don't
on board.
love it, but I'm not going to hate it.
I'm not paying you 50 million. I'm
No.
not paying you 40 million.
No.
I might pay you 30. I'll pay you 25.
No, you could do
Hey, look,
30.
these guys, it's all about legacy and being remembered now, how big their egos are. They don't want to be remembered for what happened in New York. So now they got a third chance to figure this out and go out in style. This is a great opportunity for them. Most of those guys are egomaniacs, as you know, especially the higher echelon guys. They want to go out with feeling good about themselves. Aaron Rodgers, we're not going to remember Green Bay. We're going to remember what happened to the Jets. Even though his stats were good, they were terrible. And that's what we're going to remember. Now you've got a third chance to go somewhere and make a positive impact and ride out in the sunshine. And I think those guys want it.
By the way, to answer your earlier question,
Yes.
the the Vandy game tipped off at 9:07.
All right.
And the other game ran late, so ESPN joined at 9:38
Oh, okay.
or SEC Network.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
9:07. Not bad. That's
Yeah.
great, man. Really
Yeah.
good.
So there you go.
Getting a spam call here. Hello.
Answer it. Coming up next, Paul Kaharski had some words for you
Good.
this morning. So
Let's
you will
have it.
hear
Is he
those.
still here?
He might be.
All right. I'll
I
go
don't know.
check it out then.
I don't know.
The show.
We will hear that coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
And then meantime, a colleague in this very building on the next show, Joe Dubin, shoots me down like I'm getting beat by Jordan Schultz, who's 2 days behind me.
I saw that.
And so I expect Joe Dubin to walk in here. He should walk in here and apologize on the air, which he's still yet to do as far as I know. I haven't listened to his show. But I'll say very publicly, I don't appreciate him pretending like I'm getting beaten on national stories when I'm coming off a week, by the way, where I had multiple wins. So he thinks it's cute stick, and I think it's a guy not paying very close attention. So wakey a little earlier, Joe. He says, I'm not on Twitter much. Well, you're on Twitter enough to see Jordan Schultz's stuff. So wake up and look at mine.
I hope Joe comes in here, apologizes to you, and then puts you in a big headlock.
Because physical violence is always the answer.
Oh, boy.
Love it.
Chasing Big Joe.
Love it.
1025, 1063 the game. That was Paul Kuharsky earlier today
Few things.
on Robbie and Rexford. Hang on, let me bring
All right.
it in first, and then you can have your moment.
All right.
Set this up. This was all you basically trolling on Twitter, right?
I've done this for 15 years.
Right.
Even when I covered the team, was always a joke about the national guys having the story. It's been a joke for 15 years. All of a sudden, this little guy, and he's little guy, Paul, little guy, gets upset over this. 15 years I've been doing this. Making fun of myself and everybody. It's an absolute joke. I like Paul. I've covered Paul. I mean, I've retweeted his stuff throughout the years. I've done stories crediting Paul. I think Paul is the best Titans reporter. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And the fact that all of a sudden he gets bent out of shape on this makes me laugh because it's not real life.
Right.
I had so many people told me, go in there when you see him Wednesday and whip his ass. Right? Now, I could go do that with no problem at all.
That's not necessary.
I could dump him in the middle of Murfreesboro Road easily. I ain't doing that. That's not what this is about. It's a joke. We laugh. But all of a sudden now you're butthurt about it. That's on you, man. That's on you. I've credited you throughout the years, and Paul was like, well, be funnier. It's not up to you whether or not it's funny or not. I tweeted because I thought it was funny. This is me. Whether you laugh or not, I don't care. But the amount of people who sent me notes calling him out, I was like, look, man, I'll tell him it's a joke. Paul's a great reporter. That's it. Move on. That's the bottom line. Now, if you want to get personal with it, I'm here all day for that. But we're not getting to that level. Yeah. And I know he's not either. He's the best reporter. I love Paul. It's fine. It's a joke. That's it.
I do think, and number one, you know this, that and obviously this is the Chasing Big Joe show, but my main job is to be the director of ops and sports programming here at Cromwell Media Nashville. And I always tell everyone, I don't care if you want to have a little beef, that's fine. But if I have to get called into a meeting, we're going to have a problem.
Right. Exactly.
So let's just make sure that we don't have to have a meeting.
I promise you will not be called into a meeting. Okay. And I told Paul, it's funny. When I was at Channel 4, I did this big thing about 10 years of Steve McNair's passing away. And Channel 4 was like, we got to run it, got to run on 4th of July, got to run it. I said, I'm not running it until I get two people in this story, Jim Wyatt and Paul Kuharsky.
Right.
So I got Jim and I had to get Paul, and we had to go find Paul and do this thing. And Channel 4's like, well, it's got to run today at 5 o'clock. I'm like, it's not running unless I get Paul. And it doesn't work if Paul's not in the story. I got Paul. We got in the story. So I told Paul, I said, look, it's a joke, man, but I'm telling you, throughout the years, I've always put you in things and given you credit where other people don't.
Right.
When you've busted your ass and do that. His website's fantastic. He's the best reporter. It was just a joke.
Well, it's a joke that you make, and you have made it for like 15 years.
I have.
Whenever Schefter or because like here's the deal. And and Paul breaks a lot of stuff. TD breaks stuff. Jim did when he was on the beat. Now he obviously works for the team, but the national guys get stuff because a lot of times somebody within the team calls them.
Yeah.
Or texts them or an agent and now with the quote unquote insiders, which, is Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen before his passing. That's what he was.
Mm-hmm.
And, Ian Rappaport. It's the NFL loves it. All sports love those kind of reporters. And so they give those things to them. You know, and so, but it's a joke. I get it. It's
No,
a joke.
I follow 2 non-Titans reporters, but that being me, that's not on the payroll.
Yeah.
Paul and Tehran.
Right.
That's all I need. I follow those guys. And I get the frustration of all, because I was over there. I
Sure.
get the frustration when you're like, oh man, we were just talking to you. Why'd you give the story to the national guys?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. That's what became this joke of like, oh, Schefter again, the best Titans beat reporter, because and they do get all that. I think Fisher had Mortensen and Floyd they all got different people.
Yeah,
They
but
play off each
it
other.
was a little different back then. That yes, you know, Fisher and Mortensen were tight, and Floyd had a few, but like Jimmy was breaking stories, Paul was breaking stories. I mean, it was a little more local in those early days. Twitter kind of changed it.
It did.
Because everybody wants to be first,
Yeah.
and that's why you have.
Well, I think like when Reinfeldt was there, he had his own national guy.
Yeah.
After Floyd left in 07.
Vrabel had Diana Rossini.
They all got it.
You know,
And that's the thing. It is a frustrating thing when you're working over there and these guys beat you on a story when you're right there talking to the guy an hour before and they don't tell you that. I get it. It's just a joke and that's
right?
it.
Sure, but let me ask, if you're the Tennessee Titans, you know, no offense to, you know, and like Tehran's a different one because he works for ESPN, so he's kind of part of that. But like, if you're the Titans, don't you want them talking about you on NFL Live?
Oh,
the best way to do that is to give Schefter something, because then
Sure.
Schefter's going to talk about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. Like it's frustrating, but I also get it.
Yeah. Now,
But it's a joke.
and I told him, if you need to quote tweet me and retweet me to get you more followers to your website, I'm all about it, man. I want you to succeed. I want everybody to succeed. I'm not in that game of knocking it down.
Sure.
It's just a joke. And that was it. Now, if this was a joke I started on Monday and did this out of malice, then yeah, fight me. But the fact that I've done that for so long, you've been part of that for so long too as well with me, with all that. It's just, that's what it is. And I'll continue to do that.
Ben in Cumberland City, you can weigh in at 615-737-1025. Our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. Joe, I don't like this Paul Koharsk. I like the one that works at the Mapco on Murfreesboro Road. He can take a joke. This radio guy can't.
Oh, yeah. That's another joke of mine on Twitter.
Kevin says, this show sounds like The View now. LOL. Let's talk happy things like Aaron Rodgers not coming here.
Get out of here. Aaron Rodgers is coming here, man.
Chase, can you tell Big Joe to lower the temp on his cynicism? He's always so bitter and overly critical when it comes to other media outlets, TV or radio. Be happy.
I am critical in TV because of consultants. That drives me crazy. You know that.
Oh, I know. We got some colorful language towards Paul. 2646. It's because PK is petulant little child. That's his thing.
Fine. Don't change your stripes. And that's why I applaud him for not changing his stripes. I mean, you have a mission, you have a passion, do your thing. Don't change your stripe. I'm not changing for anyone.
Andrew in Dover, Joe took the John Cena route and turned heel on Paul. LOL, love you, Big Joe.
We're good, man. I'll promote him forever. It's fine.
That is too
What
funny.
was the end he said about physical violence that made me laugh? Is that always the answer or something on one of those things?
I don't know.
So wake up and look at mine.
I hope Joe comes in here, apologizes to you, and then puts you in a big headlock.
Yeah, because
that's
physical
my thing.
violence is always the answer.
Listen. It's not always the answer, but it would be funny.
Right. It would be. But I'm too old to get in fisticuffs now.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
As he gets
there you
into
go.
fisticuffs.
there you go. It's
I love you, Paul. I love you. Keep doing it, man. Keep bashing me on Twitter. I do not care.
it's all in good fun. At the
And what's
end
his
of the
website again? PaulKoharski.com.
day. It sure is.
Go subscribe and get all the Titans information right there. Better than anybody else around.
He has an article up right now talking about Sam Darnold and how he doesn't think Sam Darnold is coming to the Titans.
See, we can agree. I'm with Paul 100% on this. And I'll default to Paul's story. Go read it on his website.
Yep, there you go. 615-737-1025. Things are about to get fast and furious when it comes to guests. Every Wednesday at 9:30, We talked to our man, John McClain. HoustonTexans.com is where you can find his work. John will join us coming up next here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025, 1063 The Game. Little Jerry Reed on a Wednesday. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. As we do every Wednesday at 9:30, we say hello to the great John McClain, who joins us. HoustonTexans.com is where you can find his work. Good morning, John. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm ready for start of free agency a week from today. Already moves are being made, trades, cuts. It's always the second most interesting time of the off season, next to the draft, of course.
Yeah, well, and I guess it's Monday that legal tampering starts, which, we love that because basically that's free agency, because we all remember, and I know you remember those times where free agency would open at midnight and somebody'd have a big deal by 12:05. So they decided to go ahead and make it legal. So how much activity do you think we're going to see from the AFC South? Obviously, Houston has their needs, and we're, of course, watching to see what the Titans are going to do here.
Texans don't have much room under the salary cap. Last year, Indianapolis used their cap dollars to re-sign their players instead of signing players from other teams, and that didn't work. And it'll be intriguing to see what they do with general manager Chris Ballard, who everybody thinks his job is on the line. And if you have to guess it, Anthony Richardson will get one more season. They've said they'll bring in a veteran to compete with him, and that can't help Richardson's confidence. But if Richardson is a bomb out third year in a row, figure Chris Ballard will be out of there after I think it'll be 10 years. And the Jaguars always spend money. Shad Khan, I read something near the end of the season, he'd spent $400 million in guaranteed money in a certain span. So the Jaguars will always spend money. And then all the eyes will be on the Titans, of course, because of having the first pick, which I think will be a quarterback, as I've told you guys. And you're right on that, Chase. The legal tampering period is Monday. That's when all the deals are done. And then they'll be announced at 3:00 on Wednesday. And we'll see a flurry of activity with Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero. Don't see much with Jay Glazer. He saves his big scoop for the season. And agents, they just fire them off to those info guys, and they trust them and put it out there. So it's fascinating. I know I'll just be in front of my cell and my laptop watching what happens.
Yeah, as we all will. That is for sure. With the quarterback carousel, and you just said it, you have been very steadfast in saying you think the Titans stick and pick at one and take a quarterback. With these free agent quarterbacks that are available, and Mike Borgonzi said last week at the Combine, we're not ruling out drafting a quarterback and signing one in free agency, because they currently only have one quarterback on the roster in Will Levis right now. Where do you see some of these big names landing, like a Sam Darnold or an Aaron Rodgers, probably being the top two that are available via free agency, unless something changes with Darnold and the Vikings at the in the 11th hour?
Yeah, they've already showed Darnold they don't want him. If they wanted him, they would have signed him to a new deal. I saw people say, well, Darnold can sign a short-term deal. Why would he do that? Why? That's stupid. Asinine. Why would he sign a short-term deal? He's, with all these teams so desperate for a quarterback, he is going to kick some serious butt in contract negotiations. Aaron Rodgers and all those, Russell Wilson. I don't think Kirk Cousins is leaving Atlanta. I think he'll be the backup. They paid him all his money last year. And there'll be others bouncing around. And that's why if you're the Titans and you like one of the quarterbacks, it's so funny to me. Everybody says Cam Ward has separated himself from Shedeur Sanders. Well, what's he done? He hadn't done jack squat. He didn't work out at the Combine. He wasn't at the Senior Bowl. So what's he done to separate himself? Is it interviews? What is it? And the Titans don't have a clue what they're going to do right now. And if they did, everybody should be fired. But they don't, and that's good because they have so many options. You never know what somebody could want to do in a trade. You never know what a great pro day, private workout, 30 visit, lunches, dinners with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is going to make them fall in love with him, or he could fall out of love. I just feel like based on everything I've read and seen from people that are longtime NFL observers when it comes to scouting, that Ward will be the first quarterback. He started a lot of games. That's the big deal now. They want quarterbacks who started a lot. No Anthony Richardson's with 13 starts. And Ward's been at 3 schools, and he's improved at every one of them. He just seems to me like if they have him, say, rated 5th overall, why wouldn't you take him first?
That's a great point. We're talking to John McClain on the Chase and Big Joe show. John, any chance we might see a reunion in Las Vegas between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson?
Well, there's a chance of anything right now, of course. But Pete Carroll, he called the shots in Seattle. He didn't want Russell Wilson. Then he goes to Sean Payton. He didn't want him. Then he goes to Mike Tomlin. They don't want him. It looks like. And that's 3 Hall of Fame coaches didn't want Russell Wilson. And so I don't know why they'd want to run it back. I can't imagine. Tom Brady, he's not the general manager. Of course, he's a minor partner. And he's not, I don't think, make them do something. But I think what he wants to do, they seriously consider it. And then Pete Carroll, John Spytek, the new GM who came from Tampa, they got to make that decision. And at 6, maybe they try to trade up. Maybe Shedeur Sanders drops into their lap. I would guess the Raiders are going to take a position player. And with Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, maybe take Will Howard in the 2nd round since they won a national championship together.
That's a great point with all that. It's just, I love the chaos that's happening. In your heart of hearts, what's the best landing spot for Sam Darnold? Because I don't think it's here, but somebody's going to pay him money. Where do you think he ends up, John?
He needs, hopefully he's not all about the money. He's made a lot of money in his career, but he's going to be able to cash in. He'll be 28 when the season starts. And after the kind of season they had in Minnesota, I picked Minnesota to finish last in that division last year. He's going to want to go somewhere where they've got good players, wide receivers, and maybe a running game. And I think they'll look around at that. But, boy, if somebody offers a substantial amount that's more than what the other teams are offering, he'd be foolish to turn down a monster deal.
It was this morning, and real quick came out that the Bears are trading a 2026 4th-round pick to the Chiefs for their All-Pro guard Joe Thuney. Why are the Chiefs?
I don't understand that at all.
Right? Yeah, I don't mean either.
And I'm like, they got issues in their offensive line. Okay, Joe Thuney was playing left tackle. It's not his position. He did as well as he could, and it worked well in regular season till he got to the Super Bowl. And now they're trading him. And it doesn't make sense because they already needed a left tackle. Now they're going to need another guard unless they have somebody on their roster ready to be elevated. But of all the moves I've seen so far, that's the one that's the most curious to me.
We'll have more with John McClain coming up next here on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Wednesday, continuing our discussion with John McClain. HoustonTexans.com is where you can find his work. John, I'm sure you have to have, of all your years of covering the NFL, a Jimmy Johnson story. He announced his retirement from Fox Sports this week. They did a very nice tribute to him, and I would imagine there'll be more to come. But a long time in the sport of football, whether it's college football or the NFL. Is there anything that comes to mind in all your years of covering the NFL?
I remember after Jerry Jones bought the team and Tom Landry was still the head coach, and he was in Austin where he had a home playing golf. It was an off season. And the Dallas Morning News, somebody tipped them off that Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson were having dinner at a Mexican restaurant there. Now, why they sat at a table against a wall where anybody could see them is beyond me. Remember, this would have been 1989. And so a Dallas Morning News photographer went there and shot the picture, and they put it on the front page, 1A, the next day. And so Jerry Jones had to go fly to Austin fast to tell Tom Landry he was making that change. And Landry, they always said, was very bitter about finding it out from the picture. But that's what happened. So Jimmy won his two Super Bowls. And one of the reasons he got in the Hall of Fame with such a short career, besides winning 2 Super Bowls, is he had total control over personnel. And every move they made, he signed off on, not Jerry. And one of the reasons he left, Jerry wanted to get control of personnel. He told Jimmy at one point, I'd rather be down here on the sideline with you, like during practice, instead of being up there in my office working on deals. And Jimmy said, at that point, I knew it was going to be trouble. And then so after Jimmy, he went to Miami. I covered their last game, playoff game. They just got annihilated by Jacksonville. It was his last game. It was Marino's last game. And Wade Phillips had a roast for charity in Port Arthur, Texas, over in the Golden Triangle, southeast Texas, close to Louisiana. And I was invited to come there and speak. And I was sitting next to Jimmy. And I told Jimmy, you're going to get in the Hall of Fame. And he said, I don't think so. I didn't coach long enough. You know, the way we went out in Miami, he was just so negative and disappointed about it. And I said, I'm telling you, you're going to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Just make sure you take good care of yourself. And then when we voted him in, and they surprised him on the Fox set, and he started crying, I remembered that because I know how much it meant to him, as it does all of them. And that was kind of the crowning, the cherry on top of a ice cream sundae of a career in which he won national championships at both levels.
John, let me ask you, and we love playing the hypothetical revisionist history. Had Jerry Jones not fired him, what would that Cowboys run have been like? I think they would have won 4 in a row.
Well, the thing is, the third one was won by Barry Switzer with all of Jimmy's players. But remember, free agency had hit. And free agents, they wouldn't have been able to keep all their players together. And so they would have started losing. I mean, they did lose some. And all those great draft choices were not great picks. So I'm sure they might have won another one. But I think more, not that Jimmy left so much, is the fact that everybody wanted their players. They couldn't pay them. Because once you win Super Bowls, you want money. That's why you see guys from Super Bowl teams leave, because they want to get paid.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, 100%. Let me ask you this. I've seen this about Myles Garrett. Of course, he wants out of Cleveland. And I've seen everything from he needs a first-round pick, the one team, a fifth-rounder. How much is a Myles Garrett wanting the trade going to influence how things go? Because now, you know, the Browns that came out, well, they want a quarterback, but they lose a Myles Garrett. Do they take Abdul Carter? A lot of chaos off of one guy. Where do you think Myles Garrett ends up?
Well, the Browns have said publicly and privately they're not trading Garrett. So he's going to have to dig in, miss the off-season program, training camp. It'll cost him millions like it did Hassan Reddick last year. after he went from the Jets to the Eagles. And Garrett, he's 29 years old. And no matter how great you are, you're not going to help a bad team get to the playoffs. You know, he wants to play for a winner. And I would imagine that's a team that's in the playoffs or a team that's on the verge of the playoffs, but is headed in the right direction, or a team thinks he's the difference in the Super Bowl. Like people say Detroit. Well, why would they take draft choices from Detroit? They're going to be picking low. You know, you don't want to be picking low. They got a good thing going on down there. So I don't think he's going to be traded. But if he is, I think he'll bring 2 number 1 picks and something else, and it'll be spread out over 2 or 3 years.
John McClain is with us here on the Chase and Big Joe show. As we approach free agency and kind of getting back into that, is there, you know, in your mind, maybe a move that could surprise people, or maybe it's a non-move that could surprise people? Like, you know, we're talking about all these quarterbacks, maybe one stays put. Is there anything that's kind of come to your mind?
The thing that surprised me the most happened this morning. It's not free agency, of course. It's the trade.
Right.
Joe Thuney goes from the Chiefs to the Bears, and the Chiefs don't make a lot of mistakes. And that one is just confounding, okay? And they're not going to give a good reason. Everybody always says we have to do what we think is in the best interest of the team. Well, why is trading Joe Thuney, one of your 2 best linemen, in the best interest of the team? Because it couldn't be an injury. He's got to pass a physical before the deal goes through. Anytime, it's always about the quarterbacks. You know, where are the quarterbacks going to land? To me, the biggest one everybody's going to want to know, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. If he ended up going to the Giants, which is ridiculous because they're terrible, and they don't have an offensive line, and they had a mediocre running game, why in the world would he want to go there? He's made so much money, over $300 million, and he's not married. So I'm guessing he's going to end up with a team that he thinks has a chance to make the playoffs. I keep thinking, what does Tom Brady think about him? John's, how much contact has he had with him? You know, Rodgers' style is the antithesis of Brady's style. Brady was so private, but that just intrigues me. Could Rodgers end up with the Raiders? And also, Sam Darnold's going to get a big payday from somebody. Say the Titans love Sam Darnold, and they went over the tape of the last 2 games with a fine-tooth comb and found out, you know, receivers ran the wrong routes, or the protection broke down, or he just had 1 bad day, maybe 2. Boy, if they were able to sign him, then have the top pick, maybe trade down a couple of spots and pick up extra picks, boy, that would get them on the recovery road so quick.
Well, and that's kind of been my thought, John, is that, you know, they signed now. Koharski's reporting he doesn't think it's going to happen with Sam Darnold because he wants more of a long-term deal, and the Titans aren't in that realm right now. But, you know, my thought would be you sign Darnold. He's not a bridge quarterback. It's basically it's Tannehill 2.0 is essentially what you would be doing. You trade number 1. A lot of people are linking the Titans and the Giants to making a move. You add extra picks, and then you build around Darnold. And, you know, he's basically running the same offense that he ran in Minnesota. You fix the offensive line, you know, the defense, if the secondary is healthy, and then you add to the pass rush, you might actually have some improvement there. But that's a big what if.
It is a big what if, and he's going to get more than anybody is predicting right now because there's so many teams desperate for a quarterback. He's a great guy. If I'm his agent, I'd take that tape of him being hoisted up on his teammates' shoulders in the locker room while they're celebrating clinching the playoffs, and Kevin O'Connell's over there watching with a satisfied smile, but it still worries me. Buyer beware. He won 14 games. Why did they not want him back? All they had to do is franchise him, work on a long-term deal. They're ready to go with an untested rookie over a quarterback who won 14 games. Why is that?
It's a great question, John. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out, because when we talk next week, we'll be a few hours from making things official, but I have a feeling we'll know a lot with the NFL. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Guys, thank you very much as always.
Absolutely. John McClain joining us here on the program every Wednesday at 9:30. We'll react to some of that, and then we
Yeah.
got a real busy 10 o'clock hour.
Busy. Keith Alberstadt, 10:15. Brady Shea, 10:30. And Chris Massaro
at 10:40. So looking forward
roll.
to that. It's Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All right, welcome into the 10 o'clock hour of the Chase and Big Joe show here on 102.5, 106 through the game. Many thanks to John McClain, as always on Wednesday, for joining us. I love talking to John because he's been around the league since the mid-'70s. He's seen the evolution of this football, of the game of football. Oilers, Tennessee Oilers, Titans, Houston Texans, Cowboys, all that and on. So it's always fun to talk to John. All right, packed 10 o'clock hour for you. Brady Shea from the Nashville Predators at 10:30. Chris Massaro, just named to the College Football Playoff Committee, the MTSU athletic director, who's been there since, I think, 2005. I think it's his 21st year down there. Year, not just 5, 6, 7, 8, not 20 years, 21 years now. So Chris will join us at 10:40. And then Brady Shea from the Nashville Predators, who got a big win on the road last night against the Boston Bruins, gets the job done. So a lot of fun. So stick right here for the 10 o'clock hour. Chase McCabe is going to join us,
Hey, how
special
you
guest
doing?
in studio.
Yeah, how you doing?
Chase out there cracking some skulls.
Yeah, thanks for getting things started. Had some crap I had to take care of.
Yeah,
so-
did you tell them to get out of here?
yeah, we got it. We got it all under
Pyramid schemes come knocking on our door, man.
control. I know.
That's
I know.
not
We
gonna.
don't allow that.
It seems. Listen to John. I'm expecting chaos next week.
I am too, and I'm wondering if the Titans are going to be a little more active than maybe we initially thought. But here's what happens, and I heard Robbie and Rexroyd and Kaharski talking about it this morning, that this is the time of year where you kind of start talking yourself into, well, they just do this and they just do that. They might actually be pretty good. Like the AFC South isn't great. We just make a couple moves here and there. We're back. We're good. And it's obviously not that simple. And they have to be the right moves, and they all have to come together.
You had a little Jeff Fisher in that right there.
Yeah, he's going to be here tomorrow.
Right.
He was here yesterday for a minute, but I was wondering where you were.
Just for a brief minute. We talked about the Titans just got to be better than 3 other teams. It's that simple. Colts are terrible. Jags are terrible. Texans are respectable, but then they fired their OC. So there's a little bit of discombobulation happening down there in the Lone Star State. And the Titans are what they are. But I'm telling you, man, you get the bridge, get the quarterback. There's some talent on the team, but it's their job to go out and find the talent, evaluate it, bring it in, coach it up, and they can be okay. I'm telling you, you'll be in the front row when Rodgers throws a dart to Ridley for a touchdown and they beat Vrabel and the Patriots.
Sure.
Right? You will be.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm kind of I'm not 100% on Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
Well, he's not 100% on you.
And that's fine. So I would rather, and I'm not really 100% on Sam Darnold either, but I don't know. I just feel like this isn't the year to draft your guy.
Then don't do it.
So I would trade out, get as many picks as possible, sign either Rodgers or Darnold or whatever, and see what you can do. And then if you like next year's class better, you'll have some picks and you'll have some capital that you can use to go get one of those guys.
Now, I'm way older than you are, but I remember when Aikman got number 1 in 89, there was no consternation. It was like, he's a good quarterback. We're taking Manning in 98. There was the Ryan Leaf, man, but those guys would go 1 and 2. You knew the Colts all along were going to take Manning. So it was like, we're taking this guy.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we're going to trade down. So Caleb Williams last year, when you got your guy. But when you're like, oh, maybe, and you get all these questions, then don't take your guy. It's okay if you don't. But you're right. If they do get a Sam Darnold, they're not drafting a quarterback. Sam Darnold's here, and you call him Ryan Tannehill 2.0 is a great way to put that.
I mean, that's what he is. And look, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean, the second best quarterback in Titans history, not including the Oilers, is Ryan Tannehill. And there's no question.
No,
that's not even a question.
I'm with you. I'll never forget the time when the Patriots came here in practice in 2019 and Brady was carving up the Titans defense. Then Mariota would go, and Mariota was terrible that day. Absolutely terrible. And they put in Tannehill 2019, and he was good. I mean, you could tell there was something different there. And I'll never forget Vrabel and John Robinson talking when Mariota, with the third time he went out there and was terrible. And I think we have it. We put it on film until we captured it. They were just kind of shaking their head like, oh, man. They knew it wasn't good. So they plugged Tannehill in. He got the job done. And I think that could be something with Darnold. But Darnold's not going to have the receiver and Justin Jefferson, the powerful offensive line, and he's not going to have the head coach that he had in Minnesota who knows offense, who knows how to coach. We also think Brian Callahan does not have a clue to what he's doing.
There is some news coming out from the NFL. It was reported that Sam Hubbard, the defensive end from Cincinnati, was being released. Now it would appear he is retiring. He has put out a long kind of a goodbye, I guess, to Houday Nation, but Schefter, Rappaport, they're all saying that he's retiring.
Old Mother Hubbard, huh?
Yeah, old Mother Hubbard.
Yep, getting
that's
out of
right.
there. All
But
right,
I mean,
well,
that's a pretty surprising move because I mean, I think there's still something left in the tank.
was that the guy causing chaos? Was that number 90,
94.
94?
But I mean, he's a game wrecker for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Wasn't there talks this past offseason? They're trying to like give him more money, but the Jamar Chase situation was
Yeah.
causing a holdup and all that.
yeah, and then now they've tagged T. Higgins, and they had already paid Burrow and all that stuff. So
Let me ask you this, Chase.
it'd be an interesting thing to watch. And I mean, I know he kind of called it, and he said, it was great that I could play my whole career in Cincinnati. But again, how you feel in March is different than how you feel in May. So,
Yep.
Maybe he takes a few months off and teams, contact his agent or like, hey, is he serious? Because I mean, that's a guy that like, I think he could help a team. So I'd be interested.
But he
to
put a
see.
note out that he's done.
Yeah. But
Okay.
how many times have we seen guys do that and then change their mind?
Way too much. Let me ask you this, Chase. You ever heard of a player in the NFL named Luke Rhodes?
No.
What about
Who?
Joe Cardona?
No.
Zach Wood?
No.
These are all long snappers in the National Football League.
Okay.
Luke Rhodes makes $1.7 million a year.
Does that anger you?
Not at all. I love it.
But I mean, knowing that you were a long snapper.
Not at all. I was going to lead into, if you want to get a scholarship and you go be a long snapper in high school. Nobody wants to do it. And either
Yeah.
you're really good or you're not doing it, right? So go do it. Go be a long snapper. I mean, here's a lot. Tyler Ott with the Commanders is guaranteed $3 million in his contract for a long snapper. For a long snapper.
Yeah.
So there's guys that I think Trey Junkin was a long snapper in the NFL for like 18 years. Who was one here? The Kinemato.
Kinemato was
Kinemato.
here for a long time.
Bo Brinkley.
Bo Brinkley was here for a long time.
And we're leaving-
Morgan Cox has been here,
Yeah.
for a long time. And then before Amato or Kinemato was
Who was it?
who was it?
I know
before
Bruce
him?
Matthews did some of it, but they had one.
It was before Kenny Amato.
Kenny Amato had a nice career too doing that.
Yeah, man, who well, maybe we could ask Coach when he's in here tomorrow. Mike Leach,
That sounds familiar.
That is
2000 John Dorinbo.
That was a magician guy. He went to the Eagles, and now he's
Yeah.
a famous magician.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amato
Played
was
for
here.
UTEP.
Yeah, Amato was here 9 years as a long snapper,
Yeah.
03 to 11, and he coached at Brentwood High School. Now he's a Dallas Cowboys defensive assistant.
So I think Mike Leach was before Kinemato.
Yes, it's just to see that.
Not that Mike Leach.
Right, obviously. To see that money, I mean, it's crazy to get all that. ESPN's got a list of guaranteed contracts the most, and it's eye-opening when you see Deshaun Watson's. We know what it is, but when you see $230 million guaranteed, it's just like, what in the world?
So real quick, 3337 has an interesting question. Could you get Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams almost for the same price as Sam Darnold? I mean, Darnold's probably going to command $40 million a year.
Right?
We agree you're not going to pay Rodgers that.
No.
So if you got him for 25 and Devontae for like
15?
15
I'm on board.
for 2 years,
Is Devontae that good?
he was. See that I don't know what he is anymore. I mean, I know everybody loves Nick Westbrook-Akine. I think he's better than Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Right.
So I mean, if you had him and Ridley and look, NWI is going to be a free agent, so he's probably not back.
I'm telling. I'm on board. If you get Adams, Rodgers, Ridley buys in, NWI re-signs, he gets here. Get a good
And you
tight
draft
end.
a guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good possibility here for the Tennessee Titans in 2025. I don't care about 27, 28, 29. I care about now. They could go into camp looking good and again beat the other three teams, get to the playoffs.
I'm telling you, I'm with Jared on this. You draft Matthew Golden from Texas. I feel like that's a good pick.
Okay.
I would be on board with that. I watched him, I watched him a lot this season, but then during the playoffs, and I was like, oh, that's a kid I'd love for sure. Coming up next, Keith Alberstadt going to join us. Very funny. And obviously with some Vanderbilt ties, we will do that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game on this Wednesday. Guy that is a friend of the show, no stranger to Nashville, going to be back in Nashville. Keith Alberstadt on the line with us now. Keith, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic. I know you're excited to come back to Music City and do some comedy at Zanies.
I am. Zanies is the first club I ever worked. That's where I got my start. So I always love coming back home and performing in Nashville. It's awesome.
So are you actually from here? I know you went to Vanderbilt, but like, what are your connections to Nashville?
Born and raised.
Very nice.
I'm born and raised Nashville. I went to Vanderbilt and stuck around and worked in the athletic department for a while, and then moved on up to New York.
Well, I know that I don't know when the last time you were here, but it changes, I think, every 10 minutes. So, our city has certainly, I'm like you, I was born and raised here, and it is a very, very different place than the one I remember growing up.
That's what I hear. I get down there occasionally, and you're right. There's something different every year. So I love it. It's a booming town. Can't wait to get back.
You mentioned that Zanies was, the first club you ever played, so how special is that to be able to go back to, kind of full circle where it all began?
Not only is it special to go back to where it all began, it's really cool to watch how much Zanies has blown up over the past few years. It's one of the best clubs in the country. And if you've never been there, you got to go and you'll know what I'm talking about. But to see Zanies doing what they've been doing the past few years and also to come back to where it all began is really something special.
I'm proud to be Keith Alberstadt's #1 stalker. Keith, it's always good to talk to you for everything. Thank you for doing this. I got to ask, you were the sideline reporter for Vanderbilt football and radio, right?
I was for 2 years. Yep.
Is that where your comedy career started? Because Vandy wasn't good back then. And to see where they are now, you got to be going, why can't you guys do that when I was there?
I tell you what, one of the seasons I was there was '99. I did 2 seasons when Woody Woodenhofer was coaching, and '99 was an exciting year. It kind of ended. We had our sights on the bowl game, of course, and didn't end that way. But it was a fun season. But I tell you what, Woody could have been a comedian. He was funny.
Oh, he was something else. And the time here, wasn't great, but the stories I'm sure you got for all that. So when you're doing all that and you're like, during that time, was comedy what you wanted to do, or you're just kind of trying to figure your way out in life?
You know what? I always wanted to go into comedy back when I was in high school. And so I always had it in my mind. I was going to do open mics and see where it led. And that's what happened. I did open mics through school and out of school. And I think that one thing just kept leading to another. And here I am.
I think it's great. I tell people, don't walk to Zanies this weekend to see you because it's great. Now, I don't want you to tell it on the air, but my favorite joke, where I'm going with this, is the Paul Bunyan joke. Will you tell that this weekend?
Sure. I definitely will. Only because you requested it, Joe.
Thanks, man. How often do you tweak do you new stuff every time? Do you keep some old stuff and bring it back? Because there's got to be a method to this madness, right?
Well, it's a combination of both, because there are some bits that stick around longer than others, and I'm always writing, so there's always new stuff as well. So it's a combination of the two.
What is it about, playing these clubs that are intimate? I always enjoy talking to comics that, have done different size venues, but they always come back to the smaller clubs like a Zanies. What is it that makes that so special? Well,
stand-up comedy is such a unique art form. The audience is right there, and the clubs that have the low ceiling rooms and a tighter, more intimate feel, those can be really, really fun to do because of how contagious laughter is and how much it can echo off the walls and the ceiling. So it's a really cool environment to do stuff like that, as well as the bigger venues, of course, are fun too.
Keith Alberstadt is with us. So how much are you able to keep up with your Commodores?
I keep up with them as much as I can. Watched the game last night. I love this team. I know the game last night wasn't one of their best, but I really like this team. I'm expecting them to get to the dance, and it's like NC State back in the day, survive and advance. That's the plan.
Oh, yeah, back in 1983. What a great season. So let me ask you this with your comedy. Why has clean comedy now become the comedy where for years it was kind of like in the back seat, don't come out of your room until we tell you to? Why now are guys like you and Nate selling out big arenas? Why is it all of a sudden now?
That's a good question. I think it's just in demand. People like to bring the family or bring their parents. Sometimes the older crowd doesn't want to go because they don't want to hear certain material. So it's to know that there's that option of having a clean comedy option. I think that's just that demand just kind of has gained traction over the past few years, and it's really you're seeing more clean comedians now than you did in the past, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, staying away from politics. And I think people are funny. And that's why your comedy's funny, because it's just observational comedy, but you spin it in a way that makes us all laugh. So I'm so glad you're having the success you are, because you've been one of my favorites now, probably 20 years, Keith.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I remember I did a story with you back in comedy, like 2002 or 2003, about the rise of comedy in Nashville, and we did a TV thing together. And you were so gracious and nice, took time out for that. So that's why I never forget. Always be nice to people, because you never know.
That's right.
Keith Alberstadt is with us at Zanies this weekend at the Lab. You can go to zanies.com for tickets. Keith, thanks so much for doing this, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend.
It sounds great. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Keith Alberstadt, the very funny Keith Alberstadt, joining us here on the show.
Go see him.
Proud Nashvilleian. Go support your Nashvilleians.
Yeah. I mean, plus he needs it. He worked with the Commodores, and they were bad all those years ago.
Yeah. So we know Keith has done sidelines. Obviously, Willie Donick has done sidelines. The great Kevin Ingram.
Yeah.
Mitch Light has done sidelines. I mean, so we know a lot of people that have gone through a tour of duty with sidelines.
Kevin got to see the beauty of the Alabama win.
Yeah.
I mean, when Keith was there, it's probably barely beating or getting beat by Kentucky when they were terrible.
Listen, for those of us that grew up in this town before there was the Tennessee Titans, the Nashville Predators, and Nashville SC, I've said this before, my summers were spent at Herschel Greer Stadium watching the Sounds, and my fall and winter were spent on the campus of Vanderbilt University.
Yep.
And I got to live through, as did you, a thing called Woody Ball, and it was something. That is, I mean, Woody Woodenhofer is a gem. God rest his soul. Was, he's had. I mean, there's so many stories. Like Joe Fisher's told the coach's show story where he said a cuss word and then he said sorry for saying the cuss word and actually said it. Can
I tell you a quick Woody story?
Sure,
real quick. He was being interviewed for a defensive coordinator job with a friend of ours. Was in on the interview. They started the interview, and Woody Woodenhofer said, "Hey, I'll be right back." Grabbed a magazine and went to the bathroom. Came back 20 minutes later and said, "All right, I'm ready." True story. That's Woody, right? It's true.
That's Woody.
I'll tell you the break where it was, but it happened.
Yeah, for sure. We will keep the fun going. The Predators did get a big win last night. The trade deadline is looming. It's a couple days away on Friday at 2:00, but they went to Boston last night, wrapped up a road trip with a win. I thought it was one of the best games they played all year. Defenseman Brady Shea will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on that and moving forward here on Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. And of course, we are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Wednesday. Hope to hear this song quite a bit tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena. And I tell you what, how about we do this, Dr. Crane? Before we get to Brady Shea, caller number 5 at 615-737-1025 can go see Brady and the Nashville Predators tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena as they take on the Seattle Kraken with the puck drop at 7 o'clock. Caller number 5, 615-737-1025. Preds get a big win in Boston last night. We say hello to defenseman Brady Shea. Brady, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. I'm actually driving to the rink right now, and it was a good night last night. Got back at a decent time, and always obviously a lot better after getting a win.
Yeah, and not only was it a win, like I feel like, and you tell me you played the game, I feel like from the start, and I know Boston scored first, but even from the start, you guys played your game. You played well, and I know that had to be a good feeling, getting on the plane and flying back here, not only with the victory, but the fact that you put together a really, really nice game.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. I mean, that's how we have to play. It's hard to play that night in, night out, obviously. Like, you're not going to be perfect every game, but that's what it should look like in a way. And I thought we did a great job last night from the start of the puck. Like you said, we're going down 1-0, but there was no real panic on our bench. We knew we were pretty dialed in, and nice to find the back of the net and score a few goals. But that was the recipe for us to be successful the way we played. I felt like we were all connected, and we're getting open for each other and making plays and being hard to play against. So it was a great win last night, and hopefully we can carry that on into tomorrow night.
How much does, I watching Steven Stamkos last night, he had a 3-point night, scoring a goal, getting a couple of assists, and a lot's been talked about. He was in a bit of a slump of his own. How much does that really energize a team when a guy that's, kind of been going through it with the rest of you, when he kind of really has a good night? I know that had to really hype you guys up.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, Stammer's a Hall of Fame player, and obviously he said that was the longest stretch of career that he's not had a point. And I told him before the game, it's a game of numbers. Like, they're going to start coming in bunches now, and sure enough, he got 3 last night. So he's such a good player, and obviously going that long without getting a point is frustrating for him. But you wouldn't tell, he was so focused, and obviously it feels great for us to see him do that. We see the work he puts in, and to see him get rewarded like that after not scoring for a while was great.
We're talking to Brady Shea on the Chase and Big Joe show. Brady, it was a great win last night. You guys played so well. Now, how do we take it tomorrow night against Seattle? I mean, there's no really rhyme or reason, right? Just got to go out there and hope it continues.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously hockey's a crazy sport, and I think if we come in with the same focus and mentality that we had last game, just with how we wanted to play, I think that should transfer over. I mean, I'll give us some credit. I think obviously it's been a rough year, but I don't believe that for one set, like, everyone's still giving it their all and giving it 100%. It's just whether or not we're connected and making crisp plays and all that. But the effort's been there all year, and so that's never a question. But I think just there's a thing, working hard and working smart. I think we just got to work a little smarter and try to help each other out and play good defense, and then hopefully that'll lead to some offense and get some goals on the board.
How important is it to this final stretch of the season if you guys go out and just give 100? I know you're giving 100%, but to everybody on the same page, go out and be competitive and maybe knock some people out of the playoffs and maybe keep you guys alive in this. How important is that to finish out strong?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we're going to be playing some teams here that are going to be right on the bubble of making it, and to be the team that can kind of play spoiler is a lot of fun. And we're still playing for a lot. I mean, we're playing to keep getting better, and we want to build for this year, build for the future. And we're there's no question we're not going to give up. We're going to keep playing, and put our best foot forward, and hopefully that results in a lot more wins.
Brady Shea is with us. And I've talked to a lot of you guys over the years around this time, but you mentioned how things have gone. This has got to be a difficult time, knowing that some guys could get traded, the deadline being Friday. So how do you guys kind of deal with that in the locker room?
Yeah, it definitely is a tough time of the year. When you're behind and playoffs aren't exactly in the picture, obviously your team is looking to make some moves. So, it's out of your control. You got to just keep coming to the rink every day and working hard. But, it's a tough time of year for sure. We'll see what happens, but, try to stay together. And like I said before, the guys, we'll put our best foot forward, and we have a job to do, and that's to win hockey games. So we'll keep focusing on that.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. Obviously, tomorrow night against Seattle and the rest of the season. Brady, thanks so much for the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Of course, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Brady Shea joining us, Predators defenseman, here on the Chasing Big Joe show. We always enjoy talking to a player every week. Coming up next, some cool news yesterday. MTSU Athletics Director Chris Massaro was named to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. We will talk to him coming up next and get his thoughts on that here on the Chasing Big Joe show. 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game on this Wednesday. We told you that we were packed and stacked. The AD of the fine institution of Middle Tennessee State University joins us now, Chris Massaro. Chris, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, guys. I'm doing well. How about yourselves?
We are fantastic and excited for you and the university, but the news coming out yesterday that you get to be on the college football playoff selection committee. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really thrilled and honored to be on it. I think that's it's all, since the committee was really formed, that's been a goal of mine to get on that committee, or I should say a desire of mine. And for it to occur, I mean, it's just, I just feel so lucky and honored.
Now, I know there are certain aspects of it that you can and can't talk about. So, you know, if there's anything you can't say, I obviously understand that. But
Right.
How did this all come about? Does it, what, you know, of you getting to do this?
Yeah, and you know, it's a long story, or it could be a short story, but basically, like I've been involved with the CFP and for really since its inception, and went back when it was the BCS. I was on a football issues committee, and that really dwarfed into a committee that was a AD advisory committee for the CFP, and we didn't have any real decision-making responsibilities. All we did was discuss some issues, and you know, things such as should we sell beer at the playoff? How big should the visitors allotment be? Does that change for the semifinal and the final? And then how does you know, what's the requirement? How many days should a team be required to be at the site? You know, and so it was just all of our recommendations. And so I got to know the people pretty well there. I've gone through a mock presentation of, you know, they invite ADs to come in and do a mock selection over the course of a day, and just to see how the sausage is made and how you can do it. So I've done all that stuff, and so I think that resonated. And the commissioners really decide on who's on the committee. There's 10 commissioners. Through Conference USA, I was able to express my desire to be on it, and then the 10 commissioners all vet and then it eventually select who's going to be on it. So you know, that's also a pretty good thrill that they think that much of you. You know, at my previous job at South Carolina, you know, worked you know with Greg Sankey, obviously in the SEC. Mike Slive was the commissioner, but Greg was one of the top lieutenants. And I've known Tim Permetti at the American a long time. Obviously, Judy, Conference USA, John Steinbrecher, and I go way back in the MAC. So I know some of those commissioners quite well, and was really flattered that they thought enough of me professionally to get this gig.
Well, I think it's great. We're talking to Chris Massaro, athletic director at Middle Tennessee State. Chris, this little side hustle you got now is all great and everything, but damn it, we got a big game tomorrow night at Murphy Center, right?
We got two big games tomorrow, but a huge one at Murphy Center. We play Liberty. We're one game behind them in the standings with 2 to play. So if we beat them, obviously, we'd be right there. So let's go, man. This is championship basketball. The tournament's next week. So our last 2 home games for men are Thursday and Saturday. And so Thursday at 6:30 is a huge game. It's probably the biggest game we've had in the Murphy Center on the men's basketball side since probably Kermit's last year. You know, we beat Western Kentucky for the conference title that year, and so it's been a while. It's been about 7 years.
Well, I love it. It's going to be packed down there. We're coming down, so it's going to be packed tomorrow night.
Man,
I know it's that big of a deal.
That's the definition of a big game. Right
it really is.
No more needs to be said. It's like game day coming.
thank you, and we'll have Coach McDevitt on the show tomorrow too. So we got all that going on. But no, I think this is great news. For you being on this now, all the grumbling from the fan bases and everything. Are you ready for that? I mean, I know you are. You've been in athletics for 20 plus years. You get all that and everything, but I mean, so many eyeballs were on you guys, and now even more so next year. But do you look at that or like, no, I got a job?
Oh, yeah. That's, and you talk to people that have been on the committee and, and it varies from year to year how severe the output is on whoever didn't make it, and whatever fan base there is that did not make it. And just recognize that there's so much passion in college football that's an outcome. And so, yeah, you can be a target for those kind of things and get the nasty emails and, and those kind of things. And, I'm prepared for that. You never know till you go through it. It's sort of like when the dog finally catches the parked car, what happens, and so we'll just kind of see about that. That's the one kind of downside is that whether it was 2 teams or whether it was 4 teams, or whether it's 12 teams, that's been an outcome, that there's always that disappointed one that just had a great season and just maybe didn't quite do enough, and so those are always hard.
Well, when that happens, just give him Mark Owen's phone number and just say, and you'll be good.
Yeah, and his home address too. I think that'd be good.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, we're ready. Like if my phone starts ringing on a Sunday night, we'll answer. We'll help you out. We got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's great. That's great. That's fantastic. And on a committee of 13, there's going to be a lot of different opinions, and I think one thing that the committee's done very good outwardly is that that they're all together. And there's 2 spokespeople, Rich Clark, who runs the show, and then whoever the chairperson is. And so that part's good. And like, for instance, I'm sure there were committee members last year that maybe felt differently than final outcomes. I don't know that for sure, but it's a committee and then it's a consensus. And I think they do a really good job of presenting a united front. So through the years, and I've got a little bit of experience there on a much smaller scale with women's basketball, being on the NCAA selection committee for it, and whatever that 65th team or that 66th team's disappointed as well. And so you just have to, that's part of the job. And that's why I think each committee member puts in so much time. There's going to be a lot of time in individual discussion, but they also want you to watch games and those kind of things. And so I think that's part of our obligation to college football, is to come up with the best decisions possible.
Well, I know you are certainly the man for the job, and it's going to be awesome. Congratulations once again. And hey, good luck to Coach McDevitt and the Blue Raiders tomorrow night. It's going to be a big one. We'll have him on tomorrow, but thanks so much for doing this today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. And our women have a big game Thursday as well. We're at Liberty and we're 1 game in front, so we can really wrap up the regular season with them. So Thursday night could be a big night for the Blue Raiders.
Well, I know Coach Ensel is going to have his crew ready to go too. So it is certainly
Absolutely.
a big night for the Raiders, and we're looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Chris Massaro, the AD of MTSU and the Blue Raiders, joining us here on the program, and we really appreciate him. And again, you can hear the men's game tomorrow night starting at I believe pregame is at 6:00 as MTSU takes on Liberty on 93.3 Totally Hits, Totally Nashville.
It's going to be a bad day to be a Baptist tomorrow as the Blue Raiders take down. Look, and I'm Baptist, right?
Yeah,
we can make those.
You can say
jokes.
that. Yeah, you can say that.
Take down Liberty.
With that, it has been a fast and furious 10 o'clock hour, but we have to end it the way we always do with what day is it and celebrity birthdays. Presented by Jarrett Companies Inc. Above and beyond industry standards. JarrettCompaniesInc.com.
All right, Joe, go ahead. We don't have a lot of time for this, so please go on.
No, what day is it?
Yeah, not a lot of time for that.
Okay. All right.
I like
Throw me
how
off
he-
here.
Thinks he can make that decision.
Right, man.
Well, I thought, because I've been. I
All right,
want me to. I
shush it.
can.
No, we're done.
That's fine.
All right. Birthdays within 2. From Penn and Teller, Penn Gillette, the one that talks. It's like 6'9".
70.
73.
70 exactly. Dr. Crane. Let's see. Don't know who that is. You caught me off guard, Dr. Crane. Eva Mendes. Isn't she married to Ken from Barbie? Ryan Gosling?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
I believe so.
42.
38.
51.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
right? Who else is actor director Kevin Connolly from Entourage?
53.
56.
51. Chase up 3-0 on this one. The beautiful, talented, lives here in Nashville, I think. Nikki Taylor, the model. Wasn't she married to a NASCAR guy? Or is?
I don't think so.
I think she was, pal.
Well, I'll look it up after I give you her age, which I believe is 42.
40.
50.
Okay.
50. Actor Michael Warren from Hill Street Blues. His son is married to, gosh, her name, and I forgot her name. Anyway,
Bernie Lamar is who she's married to.
is he a race car driver?
He is. Not a big one, but yeah.
Oh, okay, tough guy.
I'm just
Michael
saying.
Warren. He's on Hill Street Blues.
73.
64.
79. Actor comedian Marsha Warfield from Night Court.
The original one.
Yes.
68.
72.
71. Dr. Crane's on the board. 3-1 chase. One of the dudes from the Proclaimers. No, both of them. Charlie and Craig Reed of the I would walk 500 miles.
71.
78.
63. Yeah. Amanda Shires, musician, used to be married to Jason. What's his name?
Sudeikis?
No, he's a guitar player. And the 300, Jason something in the 300. I don't listen to him, but Jason.
I don't know.
Good Lord,
Jason
man.
Mraz? No.
No, he's a country kind of Americana guy.
Okay, whose birthday am I guessing?
His ex-wife or his wife, or they divorced, split up. Amanda Shire. Jason Isabel.
Oh, Jason Isbell.
God almighty.
47.
43.
43 exactly. We're tied at 3. All right, time for sports birthdays. Rocky Blyer from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bad day.
72.
69.
79. The playmaker, Michael Irvin.
60.
62.
59. Chase up 4-3. Wally Serbiak, former basketball player from Miami of Ohio.
58.
48.
48 exactly. Dr. Crane
Wow.
at 5-4. Dan Carter, the number 1 all-time rugby player from New Zealand. Dan Carter.
Oh, wow. Does he know?
I
I
don't.
Oh, no.
49.
I think he's like 58.
43. Again, we've come down to the last birthday. Dr. Crane's at 5-4. Justin Fields. Justin Fields. How old is Justin Fields?
26.
Yeah, he's my age. 25.
At the buzzer.
He's
Chase
26.
McCabe.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Guys, he's my age. I'm 26.
Oh, you ruined it for me.
Sorry.
All right. Sorry. Chase wins 6-5.
That'll do it for us.
We leave every show with the guys out there. Listen, we know we love you and everything that's going on in your life. We understand it. Sometimes it could be a bad day, but you know what? Good days are ahead. And know that we love you. Talk to somebody if you're going through anything on the cell phone. You can call or text 988. Please talk to somebody. Know that we love you more than anything in the world. God loves you, and we're here for you. But, guys, we love you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. DVD is coming up next here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.